So, I was just at Starbucks picking up my half-cap, no-whip almond granola latte when I noticed the most disturbing thing. The barista that handed me my drink was definitely most likely, conservative. After promptly throwing away my drink that was absolutely, probably poison, I decided to make this list to help others avoid situations like mine. Here are some warning signs that your Starbucks barista is conservative. They only wear one pride pin. Doing the bare minimum, it's like they, them doesn't even care about LGBTQ plus rights. They have fewer than 13 piercings. Also, be on the lookout for natural colored hair. It's a dead giveaway. They don't roll around on the ground and scream maniacally like a banshee at the mere mention of Trump's name, like a normal person would. Okay, trigger warning. This next one is really scary. They use the conservative code words, Merry Christmas. It's like a modern day secret Nazi handshake. Ugh. They give a knowing nod to anyone who orders black coffee, the official drink of red-pilled cis males. I didn't even know Starbucks sold black coffee. They spell names correctly. This is a sure sign of a right-wing homeschool education, but just because they can spell does not mean that they're not a fascist. They won't let transients defecate on the restroom walls. Where do they want them to go? The toilet? This is oppression. If your barista exhibits any of these signs, take the drink and throw it directly into their ugly Ronald Reagan-loving face. And then get them fired, of course. And remember, love is love.
I hate, those are my heart hands. And now, from Times Square, it's That Kevin Show.
Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps.
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media.
Is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be That Donald show. But we don't have that, so we have That Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And tonight, he's building a bulletproof beachhead for free speech. Devin Nunes. She's proved that someone named Junior outkicked his coverage. Kimberly Guilfoyle. Sketch comedy from the Babylon Bee. And she's back with her first single in quite some time. The Queen, Celine Dion, in the spotlight. And now, from Times Square, where he awaits DA Alvin Bragg to make felonious charges against him, to send him to the pokey and prevent him from running for president, here's the... Ladies and gentlemen, please ignore what the aforementioned Mr. Pipes had to say. David doesn't know what he's talking about, and I'm not awaiting charges for anything, except perhaps I don't know. I guess it is. I guess it's a point well taken. You can be charged with anything, and they can indict a ham sandwich. And in Lower Manhattan, you can evidently sentence someone to a conviction for a crime when you can't even tell me what the crime was. And that's the problem. The problem here is that you have a jury who was told illegally by a judge, you don't have to agree. You can all say he's guilty, but you don't have to specify what he's guilty of. So I guess under that kind of code, any of us could be found guilty of any number of things fairly simply. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. Now, the question will become whether or not Judge Merchan will sentence him to jail time on July 11th, because that's when they're going to get together to talk about sentencing, or if he'll actually, like a normal judge, take into consideration that the president has no criminal record. He is not a flight risk. And there is no chance, zero, that he would ever have to serve jail time if he was anybody else. Because you know that they made this up, right? You know that the charge that Trump was found guilty of, which was in some way to have fashioned a violation of campaign finance rules, but they didn't allow the man that runs the Federal Election Commission that would determine the campaign finance rules, they didn't allow him to come and give testimony. So perhaps the most expert witness that one could have in the universe over whether or not that Mr. Trump even did what these made up criminal charge that didn't exist could possibly have been done. He wasn't even allowed to testify. So you're going to say he's guilty of campaign finance irregularities. And by the way, that's a federal statute, but this was tried in a state court. And under some weird, perverse kind of resurrection of some misdemeanor from 180 years ago, Alvin Bragg tried to say that this state law could be revived to pursue that federal charge. That's a novel legal thing. That's never been done before. Again, President Trump making history in ways that nobody else ever has. And in order to prevent him from doing so, they have to keep coming to more historical standards, or lack thereof, to get him. Because, friends, it's not about whether or not President Trump broke a law. This is not a law that anybody has ever been charged with. You've never had a state statute qualified to layer on a federal statute. This is not normal. But D.A. Bragg and his big fat check that he got from Mr. Sniffer himself, President Biden, his big fat payday when he's promised a position in the Justice Department in the next Biden administration, which is going to happen next Tuesday if never, they think it's all worth it. This is how little respect they have for the actual justice system that we have in America, which is the greatest, most fair form of justice that's ever been created. But we violated our own standards in this trial, our own tremendous standards that people love about our justice system. For instance, to face the accusation of your actual charge. President Trump wasn't able to defend himself against the federal charge because the judge never said what the federal charge was. And he told the jury, you get to hunt and pick and find whatever you want to, as long as you find him guilty. You can find him guilty of anything. Just say he's guilty. You don't even have to agree. And he knows that there's not enough time for this to work its way through the appellate courts before the election. And now he has to decide, is he going to send him to jail or not, which will be a novel thing. Because if he does send him to jail and we have Secret Service in jail with the president, that will be something we've never seen before. And he'll be campaigning for president from prison. How's that work? This is so much election interference. This is so much what third world communist Soviet countries did. It's not even funny. And the real sad part about all of this is that it may open up a whole new standard by which both parties decide to now criminalize and go after their opponents from the previous administration. There is a trial coming up that's not Trump related. It is a Biden trial, and very soon the president's son may be looking at serious jail time. But he actually broke a law. He was a drug addict and he bought a gun, possessed a gun, used a gun. You're not allowed to do that when you're a drug addict. And this is an actual charge, a very serious charge. Of course, one that his papa can just get him out of jail free because he's the president. Friends, it's a sad, sad reality that America has fallen to this. But you know what? A brand new poll just came out, and the president is now in New York State, where he lost by 22%. President Trump lost by 22%. He's now only down 7, and with the margin of error, that's only 3.5 points. In New York State, think there's not consequences to your actions? I would be very hesitant, Judge Merchan, to send President Trump to prison, unless you really do want him to win like all 50 states. I mean, it's starting to move in that direction. I'm Kevin McCullough. Devin Nunez joins me next. We've got a huge show. Don't go anywhere.